I was in Kuala Lumpur on business. Wanted to meet some potential clients with whom we were discussing contract manufacturing of some biscuits. Also, I was looking forward to spending some time with my son who was doing his music studies in Malaysia. As usual, I combined it with a weekend so that we can do some sightseeing and visit my cousin who was a Malaysian citizen and a practicing medical doctor. He was in Petalingia. My son and me, took a long train ride to reach his place. He was a quiet guy, very knowledgeable and passionate about music. He has a very good collection of wide variety of music from different genres. So, we spent the morning in his music room, listening to all sorts of music from Hindustani to pop and even African blues. Didi, my cousin's wife, cooked a fantastic vegetarian lunch. After lunch, our cousin dropped us at the railway station and we reached back in Kuala Lumpur. From Kuala Lumpur, we took a taxi to Genting Highlands, the gambling den of Kuala Lumpur. I never did gambling, but I was attracted by the cable car ride to the hotel complex at the top of the mountain through the descending clouds. The taxi driver asked me, "Are you going to gamble there, sir?" "Not really. I'm just going to see the place and enjoy the scenery," I replied. I couldn't stop asking him whether many of his passengers went up for gambling and were there many Indians doing gambling. He mentioned in a bitter voice that he hates gambling and gamblers. I wondered loudly what made him feel that way. He was very sad when he answered. He told, "My mother was a multi-millionaire once upon a time. She was a businesswoman, but she lost all her money gambling at Genting Highlands, and I ended up being a poor taxi driver. She used to pay handful of tips to taxi drivers who dropped her at the gambling dens. It was news to me. Back in India, it was men who did all the gambling and families lost all their wealth and women and children suffered a lot. I never thought that women did it in a big way. I knew that many Chinese business families were controlled by women. They have so much of managing capabilities and many women were smarter than men. He told me it's mostly Chinese women who took up gambling and get addicted to it. To my surprise, when I went inside, I saw that most tables were occupied by middle-aged Chinese women. There were men, but not many. I went there many times before, but never noticed the dominance of women there. On our way back from Genting Highlands, we hired a blue taxi and dropped my son to the monorail station so that he can proceed to his hostel, and I continued my journey to my hotel. After my son was dropped and when I was alone in the taxi, I noticed that the driver was well dressed with a shining white shirt and a blue suit. He didn't look like a taxi driver at all. We started to talk. I have the habit of talking to taxi drivers whenever I travel abroad. They know the real pulse of any city and country. They know about the culture, the economic situation, and the climatic conditions. Many times they can mislead you, but most of the times they can give you a bird's eye view of the place. Usually I ask them the questions and they answer. Some may be serious gays and some could be total morons and others can be very friendly. The elderly one seemed very pleasant and polished.
Hello, sir. Where are you coming from?
I came from Dubai. That's where I'm staying and working since long.
Well, it's a beautiful city. I like it so much. I've been there a couple of times. When are you returning to Dubai, sir?
It's tomorrow.
What time is your flight? If you don't mind, I will come to drop you to airport. Don't worry about the money. You pay me less than what you pay others.
No problem. But I have to start at 6 a.m. You know, the airport is at least an hour's drive from this hotel.
Well, I'll be there before time. You just page me before you come out of your room. Please take down my phone number.
Thanks. I'll ping you in the morning once I'm out of my room. Next morning at 6 a.m., I paged him as I came out of my hotel. I was relieved to see that he was sitting in his car at the entrance of the hotel. Although I travel frequently, I'm a bit tensed. Till I reach the airport and check in. It's always like that. As soon as I met him, the driver, Lee, started to talk.
Good morning, sir. I came early and I was sleeping in the car actually. I always do that when I have an early pickup. I don't want to be late. Better reach early and sleep. Only problem is that I miss my breakfast with my wife. But when you do your job, you have to set priorities, alright? She understands that, so no problem.
I was really impressed with this guy. He's not an ordinary shabby complaint box like typical drivers. I don't remember when our talk shifted gears and ended to an international business talk. We were discussing pharma business across the globe, how difficult is regulatory affairs in the Middle East, and how takeover, mergers, sell-off, etc. are affecting pharma and healthcare business. I asked him, how is the pharma scene in Malaysia? He told me that many products are manufactured in Malaysia, but all international brands from across the globe are also available there. We agreed that after a decade, there would be hardly half a dozen pharma companies in this world. All smaller ones will be gobbled up by the big ones. Monopoly will push drug prices to unbearable levels.
Sir, let me ask you something. What is the secret of Dubai's success? I know they do not have much oil or other natural resources. Most of the oil wells are in Abu Dhabi, isn't it so? So what makes them tick?
Mr. Lee, Dubai is part of UAE, which has lots of oil in Abu Dhabi. And Dubai is a trading economy. Also, tourism brings in a lot of money. Most important thing is that a good visionary leader can transform a country dramatically. He told me about the economy of Malaysia and how some changes in strategy can help it do even better. I couldn't control my curiosity, and at the end, I had to ask him, how come, Lee, you know all these things? He had a smile on his lips when he replied,
Well, sir, I just retired from my long-time job just a year back. I was senior marketing head for an MNC pharma company in Kuala Lumpur. I used to travel a lot, meeting my distributors and launching our products and training my teams. The discussions about drug registration, new research in pharma and healthcare, currency fluctuations, cross-border issues, competition, takeover, merger, sell-off, share market collapse, promotions, pharma symposiums, exhibitions. I miss all that.
He was overcome with emotions. I could see that on his face.
Of course, it was a well-paid job. I don't miss the money. I made enough for me and my wife to have a decent living. My kids are well settled. What I miss most is meeting people of class, going to new places, talking to doctors, pharmacists, sales teams, to emerge officials. In fact, to meet people of my same wavelength, I became a taxi driver.
I just froze on the car seat. Am I seeing myself in him? I do not have many years to throw the towel. I was already defying time and running around as a global head of marketing for a baby food company. I started my career as a pharma marketing guy for a world famous brand. Most of my contemporaries and even some juniors are already retired and settled. I kept pushing it like an athlete who would never want to call it a day, although injuries and advancing age start to weigh him down. I'm not yet ready for my swan song. I cannot imagine a day without the worries of sales targets, marketing goals, and running around like a headless chicken from country to country, fighting inch by inch in God-forsaken corners of the world, trying to establish products in an industry which we all know has no future. I refuse to accept no for an answer. Failure is not an option. I have to pull on. Listening to Mr. Lee, I realized he's a reflection of me. We had similar views about life in general. We started discussing world economy, changing political scenario, losing ethics in medical field, as if we were teammates working for the same pharma company. Upon reaching the airport, I asked him, "Do you mind parking the car and join me for breakfast? I will just check in and join you. I'll pay you waiting charges." He was more than happy to oblige.
Sir, I do not want any waiting charges. I'm so thankful that you have invited me for breakfast with you.
I felt like I just stumbled upon a long lost friend. We had an elaborate brunch buffet at one of the good English style coffee shops at the airport. Our subject of conversation graduated from pharma marketing to kids' education, health issues, uncertainties of progressing age. We talked about our beloved wives and how they helped us to live the way we like without losing self-respect. It was time for me to say goodbye to Mr. Lee as my boarding was announced. We promised to keep in touch and parted ways. I saved his number in my mobile. I really do not know when I lost my mobile as well as his number. But whenever I travel abroad and take cabs from and to airports, I remember Mr. Lee very fondly. Maybe I'll be another Lee myself very soon. I cannot think of sitting at home talking to nobody even if I am retired. I hate the word retired. I will never retire. This incident made me remember my last boss at Boots Pharma, Mr. John. Boots were sold in bits and pieces to different pharma and healthcare companies over a period of time. It was when the last piece, the healthcare division, was sold to another company, we, all senior managers, left. During our last meeting, I asked Mr. John, "What are your plans, John? What are you going to do after Boots?" He replied thoughtfully, "Maybe I'll become a postman." I started working at a very young age and left my town. I never had a chance to interact with my neighbors and friends after that. Maybe this is an opportunity. If I become a postman, I can walk into each and every house and maybe able to meet many of them. Some of them may recognize me. I was dumbfounded. What a simple, noble way of thinking. At the end of the day, that's what matters, isn't it? The people we know, the people who love us, they are what matters. When we lose touch with them, we lose our roots and ourselves.